Hey, cancer survivor, if you're anything like me, then you want to do everything you can to stop your cancer from coming back. That's why in this video, I'm showing you 4 things that prevent cancer and 4 things that cause cancer. Let's go. First, the 4 things that increase your risk of cancer. Number 1, processed meats. Now, there is a very clear link between processed meats and cancer. The scientific evidence is largely epidemiological studies. Now, this is the type of evidence that looks at large groups of people and found that the more often they ate processed meat, the higher the risk of cancer. Now, granted, epidemiological studies, they do have drawbacks. This is not the type of scientific research that shows a direct link, but the evidence is so extensive that majority of experts agree that processed meats, they're not good for you. This shouldn't come as a surprise to most people. Now, processed meats have been found to increase the risk of several types of cancers. Cancer, colon cancer, colorectal cancer, and lung cancer. But what exactly is considered a processed meat? A processed meat is any meat that has had something done to it to prolong its shelf life or change the color or taste. This is things like salting or curing or fermenting. An example would be hot dogs and sausage and deli meat. So if you really love processed meat, then you might be wondering, well, if I eat a little, is it worth the risk? Fortunately, we have a study to answer that exact question. Now, obviously, your cancer risk will depend on the amount of processed meat you eat on a regular basis. It's estimated that if you eat 50 grams of processed meat a day, and 50 grams is about the amount you would put on a sandwich, well, that will increase your risk of cancer by about 18%. As a cancer survivor myself, this just feels pretty high. I don't want to do something that will increase my risk of cancer by nearly 20%. But there's an important distinction to remember. You don't have to go all or nothing. You can still enjoy processed meats once in a while. That will still keep your cancer risk really low, but you'll still have that enjoyment in life. Okay, so you know you've lowered your cancer risk because you're cutting back on your processed meat significantly. And now let's move on to number 2. Alcohol. I don't think it comes as a big surprise that alcohol is not great for your health, but you may be surprised to know that alcohol actually increases the risk of cancer. Alcohol is known as a class 1 carcinogen. We know that if you drink about 1 drink a day, you're increasing your risk of cancer by about 9%. But if you drink 1 drink every other day, or let's say 3 drinks per week, then you're increasing your risk of cancer by about 4%. So the amount of alcohol you drink is going to be proportional to your cancer risk. Now, alcohol is commonly used to socialize, celebrate, and come together. If you feel like you can't cut out alcohol completely and you want to enjoy a family vacation or a glass of wine or a celebration once in a while, then that's okay. Just remember, the amount of alcohol you consume is proportionate to your cancer risk. The more you consume, the higher the risk. Now, many people ask if wine will also cause cancer, or maybe that there's an alcohol that's more healthy than other alcohol, but all alcohol is the same. It will all increase your risk of cancer. Now, this next one should not come as a surprise to you, so let me keep this short and sweet. Tobacco. Smoking increases your risk of cancer, so just don't do it. And the 4th thing to increase your risk of cancer is being at an unhealthy body weight. We know that women who are at an unhealthy body weight are at a higher risk of cancer. The trouble is that most women struggle with this during their cancer and cancer treatment. That's exactly what happened to me during my own cancer treatment. I gained 20 pounds. When I finished, I did not recognize myself. I was so uncomfortable. My joints ached, I was exhausted, and I knew the weight gain was increasing my risk of recurrence. I wanted to do everything in my power to prevent cancer from coming back. That meant I needed to figure out a way to drop the weight. Now, this actually brings me to the first thing that you can do to lower your risk of cancer, and that's maintain a healthy body weight. Now, it's easier said than done. Now, as a cancer survivor, you've had surgery restrictions and steroids. You've been put on anti-hormonal drugs. You are experiencing emotional eating, and all of these things cause weight gain. It's a difficult balance. Now, it's true that a lot of the medications that you're given to lower your risk of cancer, they can actually cause you to gain weight, which then increases your risk of cancer. It's just not a good combination. But don't feel stuck. You just need a different approach now after cancer. The most impactful thing you can do to maintain a healthy body weight is to eat to your target protein levels. Especially if your hormones are being suppressed, eating to target protein levels is going to help you achieve a healthy body weight and maintain it. But the overwhelming majority of cancer survivors are not eating enough protein. So here's how we're going to start today. Start today by including at least 30 grams at every meal. Breakfast, lunch, and supper. High protein foods like eggs or egg whites or chicken breasts, chicken thighs, or fish. A cancer survivor that I work with really struggled to hit her protein targets. She had a vegetarian diet, so she knew she was going to have a hard time navigating to get to those protein levels. And honestly, she had struggled with this her entire life. But if you're vegetarian or even vegan, you can still achieve adequate protein levels. Now, if you eat eggs or dairy, this is no problem at all. Focus on adding in egg whites or Greek yogurt. These are really packed with protein. Now, the next thing that you can do to prevent cancer is to get to target exercise levels. Most women struggle to get their exercise back up after cancer, but we know this is a really effective way to lower your risk of cancer recurrence. There's widespread literature that shows a combination of cardio and strength training can lower your risk of a cancer recurrence by up to 59%. It's really powerful. If there was a drug on the market that lowered your risk of cancer recurrence by up to 59%, everyone would be on it. We need to treat targeted exercise the same. Now, if you were not active before cancer, so you didn't work out much, you had a sedentary job, then if you reach target exercise levels now, after cancer, you can lower your risk of recurrence by 52%. But if you were active before cancer and get back to being active now, well, then you can lower your risk of cancer recurrence by 59%. You need to be getting at least 150 minutes per week of low to moderate intensity cardio. And then you need to pair that with 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week. So here's what I want you to do starting today. I want you to start with targeted cardio. This means walking. Start with just 5 minutes today. Then slowly over the next few weeks, I want you to build yourself up to 150 minutes per week. Okay, and next up is eating a plant-forward diet. A plant-forward diet is key for cancer survivors. As a cancer survivor, we know that your antioxidant levels are low. Your body's been under attack for a very long time. Cancer has invaded, you've had multiple surgeries and treatments, maybe chemo, radiation, and just the stress of even just having cancer in your body causes oxidative stress. These all cause oxidative stress on your body and deplete your antioxidant levels. So eventually, your serum antioxidant levels are gonna be low. But it's important to correct this, and here's why. Without proper antioxidant levels, we know that you're at a higher risk of catching a cold or the flu. But it's more than that. You're actually at a higher risk of having a cancer recurrence, which we obviously do not want. Now, eating plant-forward is different than eating vegetarian. Eating plant-forward means that the majority of food you eat comes from plants. It does not mean the absence of meat or animal products. Now, if you're vegetarian or vegan by choice, that's great, but you do not need to become vegetarian or vegan to lower your risk of cancer. Now, animal products like chicken or fish, they've never been linked to increasing the risk of cancer. So instead, what I want you to focus on is eating 2 cupped handfuls of vegetables 3 times a day. There's a lot more power in focusing on bumping up the veggies in your diet than taking away anything else. Now, this is a lot of veggies, so it might take you some time to work your way up. But get started today. And the next thing that you can do to prevent cancer is to eat a high fiber diet. Now, luckily, plants are also a wonderful source of fiber. In cultures that eat higher amounts of fiber, they actually have lower cancer rates. So let's bump up the fiber in your diet to lower your risk of cancer. And this will also help you to feel fuller for longer. Foods that have more fiber include things like vegetables or lentils or beans. Okay, so now that you know about these 4 things that prevent cancer and 4 things that cause cancer, the next thing we need to dive into is more about your cancer fighting nutrition. That's exactly why I'm linking up this next video for you here. Click the link here and I'll see you in the next video.